Today we're making this Meranti hardwood door frame with a Sapele hardwood sill, and we'll be using traditional Mortice and Tenon joinery.
So now I've got a nice clean finished face that's been run through the thicknesser. I will now use that as a reference, put that on the bed of my thicknesser, and I will now make this the finished size that I want it. Because the machine is set up and everything is true and square, when I run this through and I do this top face, this will give me two parallel edges. So once I've got those two parallel edges to the finish that I need, which will be 69mm, that would be the actual finished size. Once I've got those two, I can use either or really, and then use one of those faces as a reference, put that on the table saw, ensuring that the blade is perfectly square, run it through the table saw. That will then give me a nice square edge, which will be square from this face, and because these two are parallel to each other, it will be square from that face as well. Once I've done that, I will then bring it over to the thicknesser, finish that edge off, rotate it through 180 degrees, bring it back, table saw this side, the side that's not been cut, the same thing again, bring it back over to the thicknesser and referencing off this face, bring that down to its finished size. Now because these two are parallel at the start and this is square, even if it's square to one face, because they're parallel, it's got to be square to the other. So now I've finished machining those, and they're actually perfectly square and true. So very good. This is what you want. And that way you've got nice stock material now to start making your project, whatever that may be. All good. Good. So we've got all our sections of timber. We've got the sill, we've got the head, and we've got the jambs. So the first thing we need to do before we do anything is put face and edge marks on them. So I will put my face marks on the inside face of everything that I'm going to machine and work on. So as you can see here, I'm going to leave these as they are. This will be the bottom and the top will be up here. And I'm going to machine out a rebate here and a rebate here. So this will be the right hand side. Viewed from the inside, this will be the right hand side of my door frame. So this will be, I'll put RH Jamb, right hand, and the left hand side. And then we know what the sill is, it's quite clear. But we put on this, we put our face mark and our edge mark, just so we know what we're referencing from when we start marking out. On this, we've only now got we've got to mortise this ready for the tenons, for the jambs to go in. So we've got face and edge mark on there. And then on the head, same thing again. We've got, if you look here, it looks like we've had a bit of worm. A little bit of worm. So, I mean, I can't do anything about that now, but what I'll do is I'll put this to the top of my door frame, so that's against the brickwork or the lintel, so that's not seen. I can't do anything about this other than I'll put that on the outside face because I wouldn't want to see that. So this is the inside face, and that's not my edge, that's the wrong way. So the edge that I'm machining is this edge, so it's that way, face and edge. We'll lose that. Same again on the jambs. I've wrote on them what they are because they're both the same, and you can quite easily swap them over so you know which one's the right, which one's the left. Same thing again, inside face, and then edge and edge. Now they're all marked up, so each time we pick them up and we spin them around and we move them and we do what we need to and we put them down, we know what we're working from, and we can't, or we shouldn't, get our setting out wrong because we've got clear face and edge marks. You should always do those first. This is an instructional video, so you can do a mortise and tenon. I don't know what happened there. Right, so, rebate's done. Okay, rebates are done. We are now ready to start. We are now ready to start marking out for mortices on the head and the sill, and then we're going to mark out the tenons on the jambs. That's what we're doing. Right, now the sill, I've cut 1 metre. My structural opening is 900. I've cut this 1 metre long because I always have a 50mm horn, so an extra piece of timber each end, and that when this door frame gets fitted, this section here can, if whoever's fitting it wants to, they can cut that around the brickwork. But if they want to, they can cut it off flush with the head, depending on the application. But I'll always cut my sill 100mm wider than my structural opening to allow for a horn. So my structural opening is 900, which is the measurement on that head. The sill is 1 metre. So the first thing I'll do is come in 50mm from each end. And transfer that line across. And that is my structural opening. Once I've done that, I will then mark the actual section on here of my jamb, and I will mark the edge of the timber with a dashed line, so I know that's the edge of the timber, and then any tenoning or mortising that I need to do is inside of that line. I always put a dashed line, call it a sight line, so you know exactly where your timber is going to be striking this piece here. So when that jamb sits on here, I know that that dash line is the edge of the timber that I've actually got. So the head and the sill are both marked out for mortising now. So you can see we've marked the top and I've transferred that round to the bottom. I would normally, well, in the workshop here, I'd normally do it with my mortiser, but my mortiser has decided to break on me, so we're going old school. So on the head where we can cut in, we're just going to cut in with a handsaw across and then chisel in from one side, flip it over and chisel in from the other. And we do the same on the other end, this section of timber. Now the sill's slightly different. With the sill, because if we've got the horned end, we're not on the end of the timber, so we can't cut in. So we've got to just machine straight into it. So what we'll do here, I'm going to use my pillar drill. So I'm going to drill a series of holes like I would do if I was doing it. If I was on site in situ, I'd normally use my hand drill and drill out and chisel and square out that way. But as I've got a pillar drill, I may as well use it. So I'll drill in from the top, go just past halfway, flip it over. As you can see, I've transferred my marks round. That's quite hard to see. Transferred them round to the bottom, and I'll drill in from the bottom as well. Let's go. So that's the mortices done. Now for the tenoning, I've taken my style and I've just laid it on there, and I'll just take referential marks now. So I don't need to take a measurement. I can just take this rebate line here and transfer that up, and I'll bring it up the height that it needs to come on. I'll measure the distances up from the bottom of the sill, and also I've got to get a bevel, and I'll take those and transfer that all onto here. But to get the line of that rebate, which is the start of my mortice, if you look, I've set my mortice out so it lines up. The outside of the mortice lines up with the inside of this edge here. The reason for that is it just gives me a referential line, a line to reference from to run that tenon down. When it comes to cutting the tenon, there's less cuts and it's a cleaner join, and that's the reason I do it. So I'll just flush up my face mark. So this is inside. This is inside, flush them up. Once they're flushed, I can then just take that there, and that's my line, and that back over here obviously is the edge of my tenon, so I can transfer that across the bottom and then mark that tenon on the bottom and bring those lines up.